Hey, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. If you hear a little extra barking or woofing or whining in the background, I have an extra dog here with me this week. Oh my goodness, we're dog sitting for friends tonight. But hey, I hope you're having a great day. This is Habit Hacking Weekly live. We're here on Instagram. We're also replaying this on YouTube, just giving you a breakdown what we talked about on the Self Transform podcast this week. If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Emily. I am a habit and fitness coach and host of the Self Transformed podcast. So let's get into today's conversation. Earlier in this week, we were talking with Erika Diaz-Castro of Her Renewed Strength, talking about self-love habits for the anxious woman. So when we were talking to Erika, we really started with talking about like what is the definition of anxiety? It's a feeling of worry, nervousness, unease. You're really focused on maybe just the uncertainty of life or an outcome. And the opposite, self love, is the regard for one's own well being and happiness. So, Erika shared some really great proactive self love habits where you don't have to be so reactive. A lot of times when we are feeling anxious, we turn to unhealthy habits to help us feel a little bit more safe. Anxiety sometimes gives us a feeling of unease or fight or flight, right? And we may turn to like emotional eating. We may turn to talking not very nice to ourselves. There's a lot of different ways that we deal with anxiety in unhealthy ways. But what if we came from a place of self love as well? And instead of always doing, why don't we pause? Actually, pause for a second and see what we need in that moment. A lot of times we find ourselves on autopilot, and Erika made a great point. She was like, you're not getting out your compass to make sure you're headed in the right direction. A lot of times we're just trying to do what we think is supposed to help us with anxiety, or we're doing what other people are doing. And we are not really just doing like what we're doing for us. It may lead to shoulding yourself. We were actually just having a conversation about this in the society, my membership community this morning. Erika was our guest speaker for the month and talking about we have to put our blinders on and race our own race, right? A lot of times you're trying to keep up with other people and they're running a totally different pace than you that's unattainable or just not your pace right now, right? If I was to try to run with my husband, I would never keep up with him. He runs really, really fast. And I have to get on a bike to keep up with him. So, just an analogy to kind of keep in mind. Also, she had some really great self-love tips as far as, taking some time and rest and thinking about what you need right now. And it could be taking yourself on a date with Valentine's Day being this week. This is a really great thing to think about. How can you energize and fill up your cup? It could be actually like taking yourself like out to coffee and like having a moment to yourself. It could be doing some type of movement, which of course I'm always about that as well. So let's talk about today's episode. So today's habit hack, each week we have a different habit hack around mindset, movement, or food freedom. Today's habit hack was all about mindset and 5 tips on how to fall in love with your habits. See the love theme still going for the week. So what does that mean? What does that actually mean to fall in love with your habits? And that feeling when you're like in the flow and you're just feeling good, like your work's going well, relationships are great. And if you're like, I don't know when I've ever been in the flow. In the episode today, I gave you some prompting questions, some tips to help you figure out how to get in that flow space in order to fall in love with your habits again. And we're so busy and just chaotic over time. We want to fall back in love with our habits and routines. So just to give you one of those tips from the episode, I want you to think about a time when a habit or routine felt really, really good for you. It gave you energy, right? It gave you energy. Maybe you were on vacation and you are going on a walk every day and you're like, wow, this is just fueling my soul. I feel so, so good. Or maybe it's just a time in your life where you're like, I'm consistently moving my body. I am fueling myself with really great, healthy foods that are helping me feel just really like energized. And if you're like, okay, those were all great because I was on vacation, and when I was in that flow state with working out and eating healthy, I didn't have kids yet, right? That could be where we are. So how can you adjust those habits that you had that made you feel really great and gave you that energy for this season of your life? Maybe it is taking a walk, but now it's with your family, or maybe it's, setting some boundaries and asking, hey, can you help make dinner while I go for a walk? Or maybe it is consistently working out. Maybe you were going to a studio or a gym for classes. Maybe it's just working out from home now and taking 15 minutes versus like a whole hour to do some type of workout. And the biggest habit hack we shared today is really just to fall in love with the process. When we fall in love with the process, the journey we're on, you're going to see the results if you fall in love with the process, because there really is no finish line. We are falling in love with the process of creating healthy habits, craving those unconscious behaviors, pivoting when seasons of your life change, and being okay with that. And being okay with that, you'll see more results if you fall in love with the process. So, we actually did a self love habits workshop this week too. You can get it in the transformation shop and get a self love calendar download. So, you're able, I have 35 different tiny self love, which is kind of interchangeable, self love habits that you can try every day. We've talked about triggers when we aren't very nice to ourselves, how to overcome those, and of course, tracking. Because when we're talking about habits and habit hacking our health, a big way to succeed and build that confidence is to track over to time, to see your progress over time instead of just thinking about it. You're actually physically seeing it on a tracker. So you can check that out at the link below, bit.ly/self-love habits, if you want to rewatch the workshop and get that self-love calendar. And the second page actually has some blank spots where you can write in your own, but I provide 35 different self-love habits as well. So self-love doesn't have to be big, grandiose. It can be something super, super simple and very personal to you. I hope I have been able to inspire you, give you a lot of tips this week. I hope you feel loved, and I hope you've been able to give love this week, but also, most importantly, to give love to yourself, because when you start with loving yourself, it's a lot easier to show up with a full cup for those that you love around you as well. So make sure to go check out this week's episode is episode 191. If you're looking for more self-love habits with our guest, Erika Diaz-Castro, and today's habit hack. So we put out 2 new episodes every week. I go live every Thursday just to give you an outline, an overview, the cliff notes, if you will, of what we talked about, hopefully give you a little bit more motivation and inspiration in regards to habit hacking your health in less time and guilt-free. So thank you for listening. Keep listening to the Self Transform podcast. I love to hear from you here on Instagram, as well as far as what other subject matters you would like for me to cover in regards to mindset, movement, and food freedom and habit hacking your health. So thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.